it's not the best of a win is a win. Let me say that first. But our leading receiver is our tight end tonight.
Yeah, Kitzelman.
I love when offenses have a valuable tight end. When you have a really good running back, side note, we do, and you have a very valuable tight end, that opens up a lot of stuff in the just in your offense, not just passing, but your whole offense. But we need more production, not just the 10-yard stop routes or what I call the smoke routes, where they're just turn and catch the ball from our receivers. And that's not on them, that's on the schematics. So I'm always going to be critical of that because I do think we have a very deep receiving core. I do. I've been vocal about that, but we need to get them more involved outside of 10 yards. So then Samson can have a 200-yard night.
So here's my question about the wide receivers. Do they stink? I mean, what's the deal? Because I would say
that's our system. It's our system. What is the 1 year it wasn't that way? When we had Jalen Hyatt that can run a 4.340. Other than that, if you look at it, but this is Heupel's offense.
Well,
right? And that's just what it was. Or what it is. But it's productive. It's just not, if you don't have the 4.340 receiver, it's not flashy.
Well, I guess I asked that because I think you look at Brew, and obviously he's solid, will make plays for you. But you move beyond him, and Squirrel too, although I don't know that Squirrel's hands are the best.
Well, Squirrel's shoulder's injured right now too.
Yeah, and you have that whole factor. But I mean, you move down the list. Thornton Brazel, Nimrod in particular. Oh my gosh, that drop! I mean, that was a 60-yard touchdown and a throw that was in as tight of a window as you can get. I mean, that throw was absolutely perfect, right in the breadbasket, and just that made me ill. That's why I asked that. At the same time, I'll ask this to not get too negative with the wide receivers. Was that Nico's best game as a quarterback? Because he was really slinging it at points there. I liked what we were seeing tonight in terms of his general progression, and there was pain because there were drops from the wide receivers, not necessarily much of what he did.
Well, I mean, statistically, yardage wise, you could say yes, it was his best game. Touchdown passing wise, he had one. Didn't need him to have any more. It would have been nice to have a few more, obviously, but didn't have to have it. He played well within the system. What we're learning about him is he's not going to be flashy. You don't have to have flashy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't. He's going to have good pocket movement, pocket presence, get to where he needs to get to, be able to extend the play, but it's not going to be the I guess what I'm trying. It doesn't look as he makes it look more effortless than like a Dylan Gabriel. Every time he moves around, it looks like he's. You know what I'm saying? It almost looks like it's max effort with Gabriel at Oregon. Nico's. So I'm not saying like it's not flashy. Not that it's not good. I'm just saying it looks like it's slowing down for him now, which is a good thing. That's what we want.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. I think you're genuinely seeing progression. You're seeing him feel out the game of college football now much more, and that's really encouraging because I think obviously that he has all the physical gifts.
He does, but let's go to the system though. 10 to 12-yard stop routes, smoke routes, go routes. That's what we're running right now. But if you go back and we go, statistically, 2022 or last year, blah, 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 it looked better is because we were taking more shots deep than we are this year. You know what I mean? Like, it just looked like we were taking more shots. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't broken it down. I don't know if we are taking less shots this year down the field, but it's all right. Our run game's better this year than was last year.
Yes.
Our run game is more consistent this year than last year. I'll say it that way. I wouldn't necessarily say better, but more consistent because it doesn't have to be a two-headed monster. We don't have to sub out in the middle of a drive. Samson can go for 20 straight plays. That would be, I think that's a plus for us this year. I do. I think tonight was a effective night. We did what we were supposed to do, get the win. You can tell we're not going to go get the flashy win outside of non-conference right now.
Apparently not.
That's okay because that's SEC football. If we can just do what we're supposed to do for the next 2 weeks, to get ready for the last two with UTEP and Vandy, we got a chance at that point because we're learning how to win hard games rather than going and just blowing out a UTC or an NC State. We're learning how to go, dang, this is a battle. Because if you want to be a championship caliber team, you got to learn how to win hard games. And we're learning that. It just, from a fan perspective, it sucks when it's not flashy.
There was also this factor right here. Major Wooten in the comments says, what happened to Max Gilbert? Can't kick to save his life. I would ask. Yeah, I would ask you that, Crime. He misses 3 field goals, a couple that were, no field goal is just in the middle of, a heated SEC game is just a complete gimme. But there were a couple that I think would be considered gimmies, essentially. And he missed the shanked them. I mean, just ugly.
Football is back, and what better way to bet on the big games than on ZenSports, the new sportsbook in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level. When you sign up for ZenSports, you'll automatically earn up to a $100 no-danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. And for the football season, ZenSports is launching a revamped betting platform for both college football and the NFL. And what's better? With our new look, ZenSports will be offering daily promotions, including odds boosts, same-game parlays, no-danger wagers, and much more. ZenSports also offers a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program, and if you qualify, you can earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, and even sportsbook bonuses. It's by invite only, so go to zensports.com/VIP for details. What are you waiting for, football fans? Start betting with ZenSports, where you will receive true odds on all parlays and an enhanced user experience. Get going. Download their app at zensports.com today. ZenSports betting just got better. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. No danger. First wager limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Boosted odds are derived from equivalent parlay bets offered in Tennessee. Must be 21 or older in Tennessee to bet. ZenSports.
Just the yips? What
I
That's bad.
I don't know about yips, but then again, kickers have a different mindset because they get very few chances in a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you may get one punt. You may get a one field goal. You get 3 and you miss them all. That's tough. So the yips may start coming. I don't know if it was before tonight. The like I said at halftime though, this is a what can you do for me now type of sport, right? So to me, look at Arizona State. I'm not saying we do this. It's not what I'm getting at. But look at Arizona State's coach a couple weeks ago in his post-game press conference. We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. I'm not saying we do that. Okay, he's only a freshman. I'm not saying we do that. But what I'm getting at is, like I said at halftime, if you're not getting the job done, we'll find somebody to get the job done. Also, look at our first drive in the second half. We drive down. We try to throw a middle receiver screen on 3rd and 8, I think it was. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Nimrod. Didn't even touch his soul. If he touches him, we score. Hey, if you ain't going to do your job, part of playing football and playing receiver is blocking.
Yeah.
You're not going to block, I'll find somebody to block.
I mean, that's to that point, in terms of Nimrod's role, we talked about in the first half, just a nasty block that Mike Matthews laid down. Like you have other options here. You do. And Nimrod, horrific drop, whiffing on a block.
There was an effort there because that was a really, really good drive.
Yes.
And then it was suddenly stopped and we got in the red zone. Once again, I'm not trying to not talk about the positives of the win. I'm talking about we're about to get into a point of the season that we're trying to go to the playoffs, so we've got to be realistic.
I
You
mean,
know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's an expectation. That's a standard at the University of Tennessee is to play a certain way. I'm not saying Nimrod's not playing at a high level, but when the opportunity is given to you to block as a wide receiver, that's how you earn catches. Look at Brew.
Yep.
Right?
I do think it's funny thinking about this field goal kicker situation and, next man up and finding a guy who can get the job done. It is weird to think about. So you missed 2 of those field goals in the first half. You would have, if he makes both of those, you would have had 13 points at the half. And so you wouldn't have been trailing at the half. And in the second half, you would have been up by more than double digits, essentially. After that,
they wouldn't have went for 2 because it wouldn't have mattered.
Yep. And I feel like the sort of general tenor of this game would have been maybe not completely different because you still would have had some pretty bad wide receiver drops and some stuff like that. And the defense, probably its poorest showing of the entire season tonight. You'd have those things to talk about, but as far as the offense goes, I'm not sure that we're, moaning over things that we are right now. If Max Gilbert just makes those field goals, the feeling would have been different.
I'm not going to disagree, but I watch it in a different perspective in the sense of why are we getting stopped in the red zone? Why do we do whatever it is? And I try to get into it in depth here, but I don't go into too much depth because it can get you can go down a rabbit hole, say it that way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but getting very technical about certain things like that with what goes into it. But the reality is when you're a wide receiver and you don't block, to me, I'll find somebody that can block. Yes. It is that simple. You want to earn receptions, you block. You know, and the same. Hey, running backs, you want to earn carries, you got to also block on the edge and when we catch a pass, or if in pass protection, you got to go stick your nose in there and hit a Mike Backer blitzing up the A gap on block to go stick your nose in there. You want to earn carries. Samson did that for 2 years as a third stringer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm like. That's what, and we're getting there. We are getting there. And I'm not trying to harp on those things after a good SEC win against a rival that is they're our rival. We don't really care.
I think you've set yourself up now. I talked about this at halftime. You've set yourself up now with this game against Mississippi State, who has easily by a pretty large margin the worst defense in the SEC. They have a pretty good offense actually, but easily the worst defense in the SEC. I mean, it is really bad. And
we need a good performance next week offensively.
You do, and possibly if you can run it up a little bit, get into the 40s, maybe like find these guys, find the person that you need to maybe replace Nimrod with. And if it's Matthew, I don't care if it's Matthews. I don't care who it is. If it's Caleb Webb, like I don't care. Find that person, find whatever it takes to get that to all meld together before this Georgia game, because this is, obviously you can essentially seal up a playoff spot with this Georgia game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you still got to beat Vandy, of course, but like
Vandy.
Exactly.
Sorry,
but
that's how my brain works. Same thing with Kentucky. There was zero doubt in my mind about tonight because it's Kentucky.
Yes,
that's what's ingrained, and it's funny I get to say us old heads now because of our age, but like the old heads. And from the players, like that's what was ingrained in us from the day you got recruited. Is Kentucky's, Vandy's. You never. There's never a conversation that you lose to them.
Yes.
Like in any, like that's just how it works. And so my brain doesn't process that. So to me, Vandy is what it is. But like, so Pat Rose asked me, does the same thing apply to tight ends? 100% it does in my mind. And what we've got to do, and we're getting there. You can see it go. You can see it growing. What breeds the best players? That's a question I'm going to ask you, Charlie. What breeds the best players?
I would go competition, and I think that's
100% it is.
Yeah, Josh Heupel will tell you that.
And that's the thing. So competition breeds the best players, and competition, there's an old cliche. Competition is the best coach. Competition is the best coach. And the reason why, if me and you are competing for the same position, Charlie, we're going to now end up holding each other accountable more, that the coach actually has to do less coaching in theory about like critiquing, because you're holding yourself so accountable that you hold to heart what the coach says so much that I don't have to correct you as much. I'm still correcting you, I'm still coaching you, but it feels like it's less because you are so intent as the player to not mess up and do everything right because you know you got somebody right on your heels. That's what we have to have at the receiver position or skill position. Is, well, every position really, but I'm talking about with our skill players. That's where you have to have. They're like, all right, hey, you're not going to make the block. Let's go. You're in. Let's go.
That's why I always harp on, if you can find athlete leadership, that is worth its weight in gold, because it obviously that breeds that competition and guys holding each other accountable. And I just know from the time I spent in radio and was lucky enough to interact with a lot of guys off the 98 team and some of those dudes from the real glory days, that was always a through line where they were just like, if you weren't playing up to the standard, it wasn't a coach who was going to come and get after you. It was going to be another player who's going to go, you're messing with my money. Like
and that's the thing. So it's called a player-led locker room.
Yeah.
All exactly. Right. Where you fear dealing with your peers more than you do the coach.
And I think you really, really see that with Dylan Sampson. Extremely vocal, an absolute dog. Yep. And you just there's a bunch of videos of him in pregame and things where he is just out there with these dudes, leading cheers, doing out, getting everybody hyped. And that's so valuable. So just keep searching for that. And I think
we say all that to say tonight was a great night. We won another SEC game.
Yeah. 7-1,
4-1 in conference. A&M just got beat, so we're all tied at the top.
Yes,
like it's all around a good night. I'm just being critical because we're trying to get to that peak, and to do that, you've got to look in the mirror and be very critical of a lot of situations. We left points out there tonight. A win is a win is a win. An ugly win is better than a pretty loss. An ugly win is better than a pretty loss any day of the week. An SEC win is hard as hell to begin with. An SEC win against a team that hates you and cares so much about what you do and you don't give a damn about them is even harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting their best shot, and it's just another game to us.